Welcome to the Research Culture Uncovered podcast, where in every episode we explore what is research culture and what should it be. You'll hear thoughts and opinions from a range of contributors to help you change research culture into what you want it to be.
Welcome. My name is Ged Hall and I'm Academic Development Consultant for Research Impact at the University of Leeds. All of the episodes I contribute to the Research Culture Uncovered podcast focus on some aspects of research impact, and they're all available via a playlist, which is in the show notes. Now, today I'm going back to focus on a particular workshop that I attended at the recent Network for Advancing and Evaluating the Societal Impact of Science conference, that's ACES, at University College Dublin in June 2024. Now, I've published an episode on my reflections from the conference, so if you'd like to have a listen to that, that link is directly in the show notes. Now, when I saw the programme, one of the workshops really piqued my interest for two key reasons. The first was the title, Impact Clinic. Now, I love a bit of problem solving, so this sounded right up my street. And the second were the people running it. So that's Giovanna Lima, Esther Smet, and Áine, Mhic, Thaidhg. There you go, my Irish ancestors will be going, you got that wrong. I'd followed and appreciated the work of all of them via LinkedIn and other online routes, but I'd never met any of them. So it seemed a perfect opportunity to solve that. Giovanna works at the Erasmus University in Rotterdam and works with impact in research, engagement, and education. She works with individuals, projects, and institutionally across those areas. She's also an Impact Associate Ambassador for the EU-funded RM Roadmap project that aims to co-create the future of research management across Europe. Welcome, Giovanna.
Thanks, Emilian, for having me. It's so good to be in this Zoom room together. Do you want me to jump in and share a little bit about the RM roadmap? Because I don't know if the listeners are aware of it.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that before we move on.
Yeah, so the RM roadmap indeed wants to discuss what we are and who we are as research managers, and along with the Cardia project, establish a framework for skills, competences, and have more clarity around our careers as research managers. So we just finished the second co-creation session before summer. There are 32 consensus documents. So we have national documents and also thematic community documents. That's it's a wealth of information. You can all go to the RM Roadmap website, and it will be in the show notes because you will put it there. Thank you for doing that. And then there's also an online dashboard where RMAs can find a lot of training that is available. So I thought that was really useful to mention to you. And then finally, the plug to invite everyone to join the Impact co-creation session that will commence on the 14th of November. So I already give a plug now, and maybe we can give it again. From the 14th of November until December, we will be collecting impact-related questions. So if the community can join us in that, that's great. Thanks so much. Good to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. We'll put that in the show notes too. And you also released an impact evaluation toolbox, didn't you? So we'll put that in the show notes too. Lots of stuff from Giovanna. So moving on, Esther Smet is a senior policy advisor in the Central Research Department at Ghent University, where she's responsible for the institution's research impact strategy and has been since 2013. She's currently looking to push that strategy to the next stage of its development after 10 years of embedding impact across the university. She's been heavily involved in the international impact community. I mean, I've seen her name around for years, so yeah, that's definitely true. From the very earliest days of research impact becoming part of our lexicon, through her work with organisations such as, and this is where you were testing whether I can actually rhyme some of this off, International Network of Research Management Societies, or INORMS, European Association of Research Managers and Administrators, or EARMA, and the Centre for Advancing Research Impact in Society, that's the hard one if you have to slow down, or ARIS in the USA, amongst other things. So Esther, welcome. Lovely to meet you at last.
Thanks, Ged. It's great to be here. I always love sharing kind of my quest for impact across the world. So especially from the very small Flanders area in Belgium, which isn't that much on the map when it comes to impact.
Surely not. Yeah, of course it is. And Esther, you're involved in the Enlight Impact Conference next year. And I think Áine is too. Is that right?
Yes, we're both members of the Impact Task Force of Enlight. And so maybe for your listeners, let me just explain what Enlight is before giving some details on that conference. The European Commission has been developing this idea of European University Alliances. The idea is to foster collaboration between higher education institutions within Europe, mainly, for teaching, for research, on the level of individuals. So think joint applications for Horizon Europe, joint teaching programs, student researcher mobility, things like that. But also on the level of policy and support within those institutions. And that's how I met Áine as well. One of those university alliances, which has been formally recognized, is Enlight, which stands for, and now I'm the one having a tongue twister, European University Network to promote equitable quality of life, sustainability, and global engagement through higher education transformation. Yes, we do like our acronyms, don't we? Ghent University, where I work, is one of the 10 members, and so is Galway, where Áine works. And impact is at the core of the mission of Enlight. And as such, one of the main objectives is to promote an impact-literate research cultures within all partners. For that purpose, we have jointly developed a number of initiatives, for example, a repository of international good practices on research impact, impact awards and a network of impact ambassadors, and a self-assessment toolkit, which kind of gauges your impact readiness as an institution or a research group even. We also have a train-the-trainer program and many more things. And this brings me back to your initial question. We are having also a biannual impact conference. And in 2025, the conference will take place in Groningen, the Netherlands, on the 27th and 28th of March. So write that down. I'm currently involved in the program committee, and the way things are going, it promises to be yet another interesting edition, our second one, which will undoubtedly interest a broad range of impact professionals. So hope to see you there, Ged.
I'll see if I can get the funding for it. That'll be fun. Yeah, brilliant. So Áine, I'm going to have another go at your surname, the really tough one. So Áine Mhic. She's looking
well
happier.
done. Well done. It's close. It's very close.
I'll take that. So Áine is the sole research impact officer at the University of Galway, where she leads the development and implementation of the university strategy to embed a culture of research impact across its academic schools and research units. She also manages the impact component of the Institutional Review of Research Performance, or IRRP. Do you use that acronym, IRRP?
Yeah, we do.
I got in a previous episode, I got told off for kind of going IRRP equivalent when it should have been said as a word, and I was like, oh, do you say ERP?
It could be handy, yeah.
Maybe some of your academics call it that, yeah. So that's Galway's regular process for assessing its research quality through external peer review. So in that IRRP, Áine orchestrates the development of compelling research impact case studies and showcases the university's contributions to science. We've mentioned the Enlight, so you're heavily involved in that. And you also run regular impact seminars, which Esther and Giovanna have contributed to, and they're all available online. And you'll be able to give us the links to those for the show notes, won't you, Áine?
I will indeed. Thank you, Ged, for the lovely introduction. I suppose just to highlight in terms of the IRP, it's, we're the only institution actually south of the border that are carrying out this type of assessment. So it's a really valuable thing to be a part of. I suppose one thing I wanted to highlight maybe about my own role is, as the first impact officer, back when I began in the role in early 2020, it was at a time where there were no existing resources or tools or training around research impact, but really a blank slate, which allowed me the opportunity to sort of carve out this role, really shape the role. So I could implement a variety of outputs to begin to embed a culture of research impact. But since then, thankfully, because the years have passed, we've made significant strides in doing that, fostering this culture. So we launched our Research Impact Toolkit back in 2021. Since then, we've developed, a tailored research impact training program, and of course, produced really high quality impact case studies that showcase and celebrate the valuable contributions of our work to society. Which is a huge part of the work that I do. But I think for me, one of the most rewarding aspects of the role is the impact community. So although I mentioned I'm the sole impact officer in the university, which can be a little lonely, I have a whole network and community out there of impact experts. So I absolutely love the fact that I can collaborate with the likes of Esther here and Giovanna. We get to meet up at the various impact conferences, ACES and the Enlight next year. So it's really a great role to be in.
Yeah, it is. A lot of our in the UK, a lot of the smaller institutions, the colleagues there who might say, I'm the only person, and it's that's stretching, it's lonely, it's who are my mates essentially in the institution, because sometimes it can feel that you're fighting a lone battle, and I think glad you pointed out that actually you're not if you reach out into the community internationally.
Yeah, that's right.
Brilliant. So let's try and get back onto that fascinating impact clinic, which I actually loved being part of. It was so much, first of all, fun. I found it hugely collegiate as well, which is something that we strive for in terms of research culture and sometimes fail miserably to deliver as a sector. And the other thing that struck me was it was hugely efficient. So fun and efficiency don't often go together. Sometimes when we're thinking about those sorts of things, we kind of try and push fun out of the way to be more efficient. So that was also a brilliant, I think, coming together of a really brilliant idea that because it helped work on a load of challenges in a really compressed time. So without me telling everybody how it felt, because it's not my idea. I'd love to have had it actually, thanks. But I didn't. So maybe if you can describe for the listeners what it feels like and what it looks like and how it works as a participant in an impact clinic.
Yes, well, I'll jump in. First of all, thank you that you've enjoyed it so much. That was essentially the plan, for people to enjoy it, and you've hit the nail on the head. Fun and efficient, but also informative, I guess. And so maybe just before Giovanna and Áine give a bit more explanation about how to run an impact clinic, how did the idea come about? Because that will also shed a light on its main characteristics and what to look for if you would try it yourself and try it out in your institution. Yes, your listeners might have picked up that I've been active in the impact arena for a while now, which means I have attended countless conferences, workshops, webinars, first as an attendee, but later and gradually as a speaker. And I'm sure many of us have been in that situation as well, and have I feel like you undergo this transformation of being content with picking up and later on also sharing as much information and good practices as we can, and also looking forward to meeting new and old colleagues. It becomes, like you said, this collegial thing that you become friends in that impact work. But after an ACES meeting in Cardiff, that itch to bring that experience to a next level began too hard. I began wondering how we could turn some of my conference frustrations, sitting through endless one-sided presentations with the best intentions, by people who seem to have cracked all the challenges. Again, we need them too. Sometimes a lot of, excuse me, Ged, but older white men. And with very limited time for discussion and interaction, which also I understand, but I kind of felt that hunger. And so also my own sense of giving something back to the community, more than just a presentation and a best practice, tapping into that collective wealth of knowledge and experience into something constructive, something which gives positive energy, which we need so much. And especially because so many of the impact professionals are a team of one. And luck would have it that I found people, well, it wasn't luck, you create your luck sometimes. I found people who were equally crazy to indulge me and this idea and had their own ideas, which brought it into this amazing thing. And ACES Dublin, that became our first test case. So I think also a big thank you to Annika, who allowed us just to do our thing.
That's Annika who leads ACES, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
And I still remember that brainstorm meeting about the Impact Clinic like it was yesterday. It was such a great meeting, the three of us, with Esther being our ringleader, with an idea of creating this safe space. But what would that safe space look like? And the three of us just jumping ideas around. And then maybe I can tell everyone where we landed.
Mm-hmm.
So the clinic in ACES and the model, I've already tested again, and so we will keep evolving the model. But the model basically facilitates a conversation between the participants, and they have so much knowledge and wealth that we as impact nurses, as we called ourselves, since you're coming to a clinic, have not necessarily too much to do. But the setting is like this. You invite people into the room, explain what they're up to, so they don't necessarily know too much that they will be troubleshooting each other's problems. So we introduced the clinic, which is everyone gets a challenge card. You get to write your challenge. That means that you have a paper slip. So in terms of preparation for the clinic, you do have to prepare the paper slip for people to write on. So everyone comes into the room, you get a paper slip that's called challenge card. You explain that you're going to troubleshoot that challenge in small groups. Then you give people time to write their challenges, and what happens next is just people troubleshooting challenges. So, and then I think that's the difference that I already want to bring in terms of the first model and the next one. The amount of rounds you have, so everyone gets to be both a nurse and a patient. So that's the first great thing about the model. So everyone troubleshoots everyone's problem, and everyone gets a chance to have their problem troubleshooted. And the second thing then is that you're not alone in troubleshooting each other's problem. There's a small group with you. So if you don't necessarily have had experience with that, don't worry, because other people will have. And the third thing is that it doesn't matter where in the research life cycle you work in, because the type of challenges that we come up, we all face them, even if you're pre-award, post-award, etc. So let me try to summarize it again. If I don't know if I was too clear. People come into the room, they get a paper that says challenge card, they write down the challenge. Then we allow people to go into rounds of challenge solving. So that's the beauty of it. There is a structured time, which I think is why it makes it efficient. So we time people, because we like to talk a lot, like I am doing right now. So we time people. You have 3 minutes to share your challenge. People have 3 minutes to write their prescriptions. So second thing that you need to prepare is prescription pads or prescription cards, as you want to call them, for people to write down. So we do give some time for the doctors and nurses in the room to write down some of their thoughts before reacting. So that is also an inclusive element of the clinic, because not everyone can just quickly react. But if you give them time to think about it, yeah, there's this, there's that, they can write it down, and then also then give the prescription to the patient. And then after that individual time of 3 minutes, then you have a round of discussion. And that is the time that changes. So in ASIS, we had more time than I had at ARMA when I ran the clinic again. So that's why the model is also flexible. So you can change the size of the groups, and you can change the time of the rounds to make it adaptable to different situations. So in terms of preparation, you have some slides. If you are like us, crazy enough to wear a nurse tiara, you can do that. Yes, we did wear nurse tiaras. And then challenge pads and prescription pads for people to write on. That's it, basically, because everything that happens is on the participants, and it's a lot of professionals like ourselves who like to have fun, who like to troubleshoot each other's problems, because we have been doing this on our bootstraps and connecting with people. So I don't know, it's stepping into the authentic reality of what RMAs and impact professionals are like.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. And I think we've probably gone into a lot of this, but what is it that you feel is different about this approach? You know, you've kind of segued it against old white gits like me, talking in a very boring voice at the front. So thank you very much for that. I must try and remember never to do that in an impact session that I'm leading.
That's what you made of it, Ged.
Yes, I know. I was going to try and deflect it by going, I apologize on behalf of all my older colleagues. But I forgot to say that. No, never mind. But what is it that if you can crystallize, what is it that you is different about this? And you know, I've said it was fast, efficient, and fun. But you know, what were you aiming for?
Could jump in here, I suppose. Yeah, to crystallize it, I think, you know, Esther had touched on it, you know, unlike more formal engagement methods, ultimately it fosters this collaborative environment, you know, where participants can contribute equally. Everyone's voice is valued, everyone's voice is encouraged. I think that's the main thing, really, and it shifts the focus. So it's less about presenting, but more about working together on tangible outcomes. So it's a solution-driven method. It's refreshing from what we see at other conferences, and provides participants with really concrete takeaways they can apply in their own work. And I think for all of us, you know, these are the conversations that we're having at the coffee and lunch breaks at these conferences that prove to be really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it kind of reminds me that kind of reminds me about a little piece that Tamika Hayden and I put together some time ago for the LSE Impact blog. That impact expertise is a collective construct. It isn't an individual, almost. An individual's expertise is not enough to really be able to solve all the challenges that come with research impact. So you do need that extensive network to help you kind of just be the conduit of all of that expertise into and out of your institution as well. You know, and it isn't to say that you know, a particular institution is any better than another at generating that knowledge. So I thought that yeah, it really resonated with the thoughts we were trying to express in that blog. So I think we should try and give. I mean, obviously our listeners can't be active participants in an impact clinic with us right now, because they're not here on this Zoom call. But shall we try and give them a flavor for how it operates?
Yeah, I think
yes.
We didn't bring our tiaras this time, so just imagine them and imagine yourself in our kind of treatment room. So welcome everyone. Just make yourselves comfortable. And the idea is also that not everyone needs to talk. If you're a patient that just wants to listen and take in the experience of everyone else, that's fine as well. But the nurses are here, the doctors are here to guide you through that. So the idea is that you write down your challenge, something that you face within your work as an impact professional. And take some time to think about that. We, of course, as in almost in Blue Peter tradition, we've prepared one for you that we can go through. And so we welcome Áine, our impact officer at Galway, and she has a challenge she would like to share with us.
Yes, thank you, Esther. So the challenge I presented at the clinic was I'm an impact officer, and I've been trying to facilitate schools to develop impact case studies for a research assessment exercise, and find challenging ensuring case studies meet the criteria, maintain consistency, quality, and meet high standards. Just to sort of clarify on what I was looking for. So in terms of maintaining consistent quality across the case studies, for me is quite daunting. Particularly because each school may have varying levels of experience in articulating their research impact, which can lead to sort of inconsistencies in presentation and depth of analysis. Also challenging is fostering this culture of high standards and impact, and the ongoing support and engagement for that. So it means obviously guiding authors in their writing, but also creating an environment where feedback's encouraged and integrated into the whole case study development process. But, overall, the goal is to ensure the case studies are, of course, fulfill the criteria, the assessment criteria, but really truly reflect the high quality research being conducted within that school.
Thank you. Ged, you've been around for a long time. You've seen all of us working in this. I'm doing it again. I'm very sorry. No, it's not. Yeah, do you have any kind of prescriptions for Áine to help her work on this quality, work on this feedback culture? I think from your experience within research culture that you might have some tips for her.
Yeah, so some things I thought of were one thing we did in the run-up to REF 2021 is that we distributed really small cards. So we distributed postcard size things, and those were based on really the criterion REF, Research Excellence Framework, which goes to, many pages for the impact session. So we distilled that down into something the size of a postcard, and really kind of tried to turn the criteria into hints and tips. So that really helps you think through what do our criteria mean in terms of how should I operationalize them. And then it also, because it's digestible, is really easy to remember. So, aim for the usual sort of 5 tips or 10 tips, depending on the number of criteria you might have. And I know that proved really popular, both with the authors, and actually it also proved really popular with the internal reviewers that we had. So, we had a number of internal review rounds before it went in to the final submission for REF, where it goes to the external review. And that really, again, helped. What had happened in REF 2014 was that it might go to a review 1, and I get this kind of feedback. And then it goes to the second review, and I get, no, change it back to exactly how it was prior to review 1, which is fairly common, actually. That's fairly common in publications and the like. So we've really got to prevent that, because being assessed is stressful anyway. So we don't want the stress of kind of being told to undo all of the things we were told to do previously. So that was really helpful in that, in terms of getting a sense of on both the review and the author side that we're working to the same almost prescription. I'll use that again here. Finally, I think if you did the postcards, you could also put QR codes and those QR codes would take people to maybe explained examples of good practice. So here's why this fits our criteria, with commentary that helps the person understand why it's been written that way and why that is a successful way of hitting the criteria. So those were my initial thoughts on that.
Yeah, very good. Giovanna, you've got a track record in helping research groups really down to the nitty-gritty of their strategy on impact and so on. What would you recommend, Áine, to be aware of or to maybe bring into the process?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with Jed, and he has already some great practical tips. I suppose in terms of practical tips, I would also provide template and examples. I think that's one of the things that we most hear people asking for. It's can I just look at it? Of course, the copy paste thing is what we're worried about when they ask for a template. But now with generative AI, they will ask the tools for examples. So it's better if the examples are coming from us, I suppose, that we have some curation. That's from a more practical side of the house. But on a more strategic or behavioral type of thing, I would really show what's in it for them. I think sometimes people are like, "Oh, why are they asking us to do this?" So I think you need to show that's worth their while. So maybe connecting it to other things that they already have to do. That helps me with my change initiatives a lot. So hopefully that can help, Áine.
Yeah, and I think you've mentioned something there that I would suggest as well, reusing the effort that has gone into it already. So linking up with your institutional research communication team and making sure that these stories are getting out there, even if you might imagine that if they haven't been ranked, not everyone lives within a context of REF or any other assessment framework. You're still collecting worthwhile information that you can celebrate people on, and maybe also showing the stakeholders that were involved, kind of flipping the story and bringing the story from the point of view of the stakeholder. And we all know that academics, if they see someone else being highlighted somewhere, getting some accolades, that might get them across again the next time you're organizing something like that. So remember that story that everyone talked about for weeks afterwards. Don't you want a story like that as well? So I hope, Áine, that we've given you some indication of maybe things you can introduce, and get back to us and let us know how that went and what other challenges you might have faced in that whole thing.
Yeah, thank you. That's been fantastic. I'm really glad this is recorded so I can go back and listen to those tips. I think for us we're in year 2 now of this review, and we definitely, have gone through a bit of a lessons learned, and some of those prescriptions really hit home. And for us, it is about using examples, best case, here, and we have that from year 1, and the process will get easier. But it's what is the value of something like this? And I suppose ultimately, aside from a review process, and I think for me, the most important is, showcasing. When do we ever get a chance to really take track of what we've done and showcase that and celebrate it? And as a university, it really demonstrates that we value impact if we do something like that.
Yeah. Jed, maybe I need to add that in the kind of the paperwork that comes into an impact clinic, we ask people to leave their details behind. That's why we have everyone write down stuff, so that when time slips away maybe, and you still want to reconnect with someone that gave you a really worthwhile tip, you've got each other's contact details. Of course, only within that group and only if everyone agrees to share those details. And we've even written a small kind of summary and report of the clinic and send it out afterwards. So to keep it like a live document and give someone that extra level of engagement afterwards as well, not just this one experience during a workshop at one conference. So actually provide an extra element to creating your own network as well.
Yeah, I thought that was really lovely a couple of weeks ago when that landed in my inbox, because obviously I'd said, yes, absolutely, you can tell me what brilliant ideas that people came up for my challenge. So when that arrived, it kind of really made me think, have I done anything about that? Because it is that, it is that reminder, isn't it? And that's what we say to the academics when, certainly if you're having a workshop or something like that, and you've got people coming to it, external stakeholders, you want to really remind them of the things that they said they might do with your research findings, and it gives you that opportunity for evaluative contact afterwards. So yeah, great idea. So shall we move on?
Yes.
Lovely.
So, I think Giovanna, you were going to give us your challenge next, weren't you?
Yes. So, and I'll read out of the challenge card. So to give people what the challenge card is. So it's a Mad Lib, right? So it says, I am a, and then what's my role? So I am an Impact and Recognition and Rewards Project Officer. And I have been trying to facilitate schools to include impact in their career development for academics. And I find challenging to define what is the correct level of assessment for impact. So that's what my challenge is. And to give you a little bit more context, we considered impact to be an impact sport, but most career development assessment happens at the individual level. How to reconcile that? So, and then another contextual thing maybe for you, since you don't know my context that well, the university I work in is very decentralized. So we don't have one development policy for all the schools, not one hiring policy for all the schools. Actually, each school and therefore the disciplines have different approaches to this. But that's my challenge. Thank you for helping me solve it.
And Áine, are you going to offer your?
Yes, I have a prescription for Giovanna. So this was an interesting challenge because I think we all face it. You know, it's definitely a common but complex issue. So I have a potential approach for you. I suppose the first thing is clarifying objectives at each career stage. That might be useful. What I mean by that is sort of a tiered impact expectations that align with different career stages. For example, if we look at early stage researchers, the focus could be on, the identifying potential impact pathways, whereas with more senior staff, you could, staff could be expected to demonstrate concrete societal impacts or maybe policy influence. So that type of tiered expectation. Also, in terms of maybe co-creation with stakeholders, engaging academic staff and school leadership in defining what meaningful impact looks like within their own disciplines. So it ensures, it's relevant then for them and maybe more accepted and easily embedded into sort of performance reviews, things like that. Also, one suggestion was, focusing on the type of evidence. So we always think of quantitative and qualitative in terms of impact. So encouraging maybe a balance between those things. So the quantifiable outputs, your policy changes, patterns, things like that. And then the qualitative narrative. So describing the journey of impact. So there's flexibility there and what's relevant for the person. And of course, the key thing is always training, mentorship, offering workshops or mentoring sessions that guide them, understanding how they can embed impact into their career development, how they might articulate their contributions and their plans for future impact as well. So I hope that's been helpful.
And Esther, do you want to give your prescription?
I think it's important in this kind of process to recognize their ownership in the entire process, to actually do this in a very authentic way for them as well. How do you operate? What's important to you? And what do you think? I think one of the big things that's come out of the whole responsible research assessment and is the idea of nothing about us without us. And I think it's the same thing here. If you're starting to assess academic communities and have them provide strategies on their part, see them as stakeholders as well. Learn from your own impact pathway processes that you teach researchers and put it to practice in your own projects, policy projects as well. So that would be my main advice, and good luck with it.
Thanks a million. It's so good because, as with Áine, it's what we already know, right? So we had a project with 3 of our schools that's called Recognition and Rewards of Impact Activities, where we did go and ask, how do you want to be recognized and rewarded by your impact activities? And people were sharing how much of the tick boxing exercise they don't want us to do, because we don't want to tick box publications to now tick box impact, and do I need to now have a track of my meetings and all of that. So it's still a challenge, even when we know what we do not want, but we don't necessarily know what we do want. So I think that's where we are right now. So, but thank you so much, both of you.
Yeah, just final thoughts on that. I mean, I think there's a crossover in the, when you have got a bit further along the line, when you have examples that really helps people to see, so it might be a case of you trial some different types of ideas and then see from those examples, does that work for people? So there's that more iterative development as well as just kind of, okay, we'll try and do co-production once. Co-production is an iterative process. So maybe try that.
I don't want this to end now. We should have done the full clinic for this episode.
I know, yes. So kind of moving on, I guess. So hopefully listeners, that kind of gave you a feel for how quickly you can do some quite thorny topics, and get quite a lot of hopefully meat and meaty ideas through in a short space of time, as well as that, as we said, that commitment to be able to follow up with those people and kind of going, I've tried it. I'm not quite sure what you meant by that. Can you give me a bit more advice? That would be, that's where it goes. So if it stimulated you to try something like that, please let us all know, especially the people that I'm interviewing who came up with this brilliant idea. Now, coming back to you three, what are the future plans for the method? Any ideas that you're going to go with it? Áine, you're nodding your head, so I'll come to you first.
I think we each enjoyed it. We're definitely exploring ways to maybe scale the clinic, but I suppose we're equally conscious of our own roles and capacity outside of those. Future plans are evolving. We're looking at potentially delivering the clinic at IARMA next year. We're definitely delivering the clinic at the Enlight Impact Conference. And we're kind of discussing how this sort of fits into our broader frameworks, within our own roles. But we're definitely excited about how this could be applied across different contexts. But I suppose for now, we're definitely taking time to refine the approach and ensure it aligns with our existing structures, our own roles, and what we do.
Esther, what have you got any ideas for what you do with the Impact Clinic next?
Well, I think it's a case of at Ghent University, there isn't just one model that we push as being the model in all our support that we do on impact. So in my case, it's adding this to all the possibilities that are out there. And I've got this good situation going where we have 9 big centers, research centers, that are being paid to do work aimed at societal impact. And they all have impact officers really on the job, working with big groups of researchers. So it'll just go into their toolbox. And they'll adapt it in their own way. And I think that's the main thing. We're all talking about open science. It's the same idea. We're developing something. It's not our own, and we'll just put it out there. And of course, we'll enjoy facilitating workshops ourselves. But I won't be rolling this out as my new endeavor, my new professional endeavor. So I'm not coming after you as a kind of a consultant doing impact clinics all the way. I still have a big responsibility to my own research community. So I hope it just finds its way and is used by people who feel that it fits their method, their sensibilities. So don't force it. Don't become an impact nurse if it's not in your nature to be an impact nurse. So I think that's my main message. If it suits you, take it on, and you'll probably see me doing it somewhere along the way again.
Brilliant. Well, I've really enjoyed refreshing my memory of the Impact Clinic and that wonderful time we had in Dublin. And thank you for sharing all of your ideas and thoughts with our listeners out there. Now, one of the joys about conferences, and certainly this experience of being a podcaster too, is meeting lots of new and interesting people like you who call me old and white and and that's made me think of some future episodes which needs to focus on impact heroes. So I'm going to come to you, and I'm going to start building this into all the interviews I do with anybody who's in an impact space, in terms of who's your impact hero and why. And they might be on my list to interview at some point. So, Esther, I'll come to you. I'll come in order of from top to bottom on my Zoom screen. So, Esther.
Well, I know the PC answer would be to point to our gloriously creative and engaged research community. And of course, they are all heroes in my eyes. But I feel that this is also a great opportunity to recognize some of the very influential professionals who have been working in this space and have been so generous with their time and knowledge. At least that's how I experience it. I really feel part of an impact kind of community, clan, tribe, as David Phipps, who's one of my impact heroes, would call it. But I got started and inspired mainly by Leonie van Drogen and Stefan de Jong. Stefan, who now works at the University of Rotterdam, Erasmus University. Dutch colleagues who tweeted quite a lot about impact and got me started, got me into a conversation with them. I just emailed them and I said, wow, I recognize myself and the things I want to do. Let's meet up. And so that has been a big influence. And then I met Susan Reno, who's kind of spearheading the broader impacts community in the US. And the thing is, it might be a totally different context, the American context, but the processes, the people in impact are the same. It's something that connects us all because it's about connectivity. And then and I'll stop because it's beginning to sound like a kind of an Oscar acceptance speech. But Jane Tinkler from LSE, when she was still at LSE, talking about impact of social sciences and humanities. And then my big inspiration, Julie Bailey, like the goddess of impact at the moment, but also Gloria and Igor, who I've met through Enlight, and I've learned so much from them as well. All the impact brokers at my own research institutes. I could go on for days, but I'll hand over to my colleagues who are also heroines of mine as well.
Well, Esther, you've given me a list of content to go in all the way up to my retirement. I think excellent. Giovanna, I'll come to you next. Who's your, shall I say, impact hero? Singular.
Now I have a problem because you already interviewed her and she's in the room today. So Esther was the one when I moved to Europe because I had done impact in Brazil. But of course, moving to the European landscape was a different ball game. And I was the first research impact officer for Trinity College Dublin. And I was, as Áine said, for Galway, trying to say, okay, how do we make this authentic to Trinity, but then authentic to the arts and humanities, which was the community that I was working with. And of course, there's so many models that don't work for the arts and humanities, and we need to really care for that disciplinary difference. And Esther was one of the first people that I emailed and said, hey, we're doing this. Can you help? And she was immediately said yes. And since then, we've become great friends. And so I guess I made your life easy now, Ged. And I'll stop with Esther because she already gave the whole list.
Fair enough. and Áine, who's yours?
Thank you, Jed. Yeah, so the first person that came to mind actually was Saskia Walcott. Because I suppose when I started the role, as I said, I was on my own. It was February 2020. We went into lockdown a few weeks later, and I wasn't really sure what to do. And I actually Googled impact experts and came across Saskia Walcott. But I was so fortunate because once I linked in, she had kind of done something similar to me many years prior before going independent herself, and was really enthusiastic about the project, and provided so much guidance to me as I sort of navigated the waters for the first time. And so I had her help us with developing the first in the series of impact case studies that we did back in 2020. And we just stayed in touch since then. We all know she's such an expert in impact engagement, but she has this remarkable ability to distill sort of complex concepts into really clear, actionable insights. And her approach has really influenced my work over the years, particularly in guiding others, to articulate and evidence the impact of their research. But one resource I suppose I want to highlight is, she developed for University of Galway's Reflections of Research Impact. It's become such a valuable resource in our toolkit, which, is open to all. Anyone can access it. If anyone wants just a really solid overview of research impact, go into the reflections piece. It's a 9-part video series. It's excellent. So yeah, I just wanted to mention her. And Esther, thankfully you covered all of the amazing people out there, because there were so many. When I thought of this question, I was thinking of the same people. David Phipps, especially in the recent years, has been massive support, and of course Julie Bailey. But you guys here as well, and I've been very fortunate to collaborate with you, and particularly Esther with the work in Enlight. I feel like we're on a team for years, which is great. But yeah, it's we're very fortunate with the impact community that's out there. I know I've mentioned them, but really, really fortunate to have such amazing people within that.
Yeah, that's another great call. I've loved working with Saskia over the years. So yeah, she's definitely going to get added to the list. So thanks again to all three of you for agreeing to give up this time on a Friday afternoon. So hopefully you're heading soon to a really good weekend. But I'll leave it to you to kind of say goodbye to the listeners. So Giovanna, I'll come to you first to say whatever you want to say as bye.
Just a big thank you. And maybe I was too lenient on you, Jed. Maybe my final say is that we could start recognizing the other people that are part of the impact lifecycle. And we mentioned the marketing comms colleagues. From my perspective, from recognition and rewards, we have the HR colleagues, of course, and every single part of every single research performing institution, and in my case, also education and engagement, has a role to play when it comes to impact. So we are not alone. And maybe what you could do is start interviewing impact heroes in those sectors. So who is an impact hero who's bringing comms, who's an impact hero in HR, and all of those colleagues. So that's a big thank you from me. Do take part in the co-creation exercise of our roadmap in November and December, and do check out the toolbox of Erasmus University Rotterdam. It is really great. Thanks.
Brilliant. And Esther, do you want to say goodbye?
Yes, I do want to say goodbye. So I hope that your listeners have picked some little gems of knowledge from us as well. I think that's the main thing. We all inspire each other so much, and we need to. Academia for impact support professionals and any professional supporting researchers is not an easy place, but it can be such a wonderful place. And I think it's up to us to try to keep that going as well, and pay it forward, as it were. So again, if you do have any comments on what we talked about, or you want to reach out, all of us are available for that. And even if it's a 30-minute call leading you on your way for the next 10 years, that's fine. We'll do everything, because even those things are small impacts that are worthwhile.
Excellent. And Áine, last word to you.
Well, thanks to you, Jed, for the invitation. This was my first podcast. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I suppose to the listeners for tuning in, do check out our Impact Toolkit, do check out our webinar series, do look at the wonderful resources from the Enlight Impact repository. And of course, everyone stay curious and making an impact.
Thanks for listening to the Research Culture Uncovered podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on our brand new episodes. And if you're enjoying the discussions, give us some love by dropping a 5-star rating and written review, as it helps other research culturists find us. And please share with a friend and show them how to subscribe. Thanks for listening, and here's to you and your research culture.